Hello everyone. Today I want to show a game played between Paul Keres and Mikhail Botvinnik in the Alekhine Memorial Tournament of 1956. It's a beautiful positional game and I'd like to show it. Let's check it out. Starts with e4, c5, knight f3 and knight c6, d4, cd4, knight d4, knight f6, knight c3 and d6, bishop g5, e6 and queen d2. So we have the Richter-Rauzer attack here. 8-6, pushing the bishop back. Bishop captures on f6. Bishop e3 would lead to knight g4 because queen d2 has already been played, this is quite good for black. Reasonable. So bishop into f6 and queen into f6 is possible, but knight d to b5, threatening pressure on d6 and on knight c7. So queen will have to go back to d8 and castling puts more pressure. This is not so good. So better is g into f6, and that's what Botvinnik played. White castles and a6, f4, h5. The bishop on f8 can develop on h6 as well. King b1, just a nice prophylactic move, and bishop g7 developing. Bishop e2 and queen b6. Knight b3 here, avoiding any trades in the center. Black could have tried to exchange a pair of knights and even queens as well. And black castles on the queen side. Given the king side pawn structure is all messed up, it makes sense. Rook h to f1. So white will look for some play on the f file, which is where white is pushing pawns. Knight a5, going for some trades, and rook f3, a rook lift. So rook may come to c3 if the knight ever moves and try to harass the black king. Knight takes on b3 and a takes on b3, and king b8, just moving out of the way. And knight a4, queen goes back to a7, f5, trying to open some lines for the rook. Bishop e7, developing and defending the f6 pawn. F takes e6 and f takes e6, so at least black's pawn structure there has been sorted, but rook into f6 comes, a wonderful move. And what it does is it overloads the bishop on e7, because if bishop into f6, then queen into d6 is very strong. King a8 and knight b6 follows. This is crushing for black. So after rook into f6, rook h7 was played, and rook goes to g6 now. b5, knight c3, and queen c5. Knight a2. Now the idea is to get the knight to b4 to threaten the pawn on a6, and from there the knight can remaneuver itself to a better square. King a7, defending already, and knight b4. Rook to f8, gaining control of the open file. Bishop to f3, stopping, just solidifying the white position and stopping the rook from infiltrating on f2. h4, h3, stopping any further advances, and bishop goes to c8. There could be ideas of defending b7 or just keeping a bishop on b7 and on the long diagonal. Knight to g3, hitting the queen, and queen tucks back to c7. And knight f4. So the knight has remaneuvered itself towards the king side, putting pressure on e6, defending the rook on g6. Rook f6 here. Bishop g4, a good move played by Keres, and keeping some pressure alive on the e6 pawn. First rook into g6, which takes away the knight's control from e6. So knight into g6 and bishop b7. Bishop into e6 was played, and bishop d8. Bishop d5, just defending the e4 pawn, and also allowing for a swap of bishops. Bishop into d5, queen into d5, and after rook f7 was played, here Keres simply played e5, and that pawn is going through because the pawn can't be captured because the bishop on d8 would hang, and e6 is coming, or e into d6 is possible. At this point, Botvinnik resigned. So a wonderful positional victory for Paul Keres. Well, thank you all for watching. I'll see you soon for the next game.